Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ditone, here to bring you another cast coming out of the Rapture Gaming Network League 2013 to 2014. Here is a game between First Departure and Zenith, the two Singaporean juggernauts currently on the scene. First Departure just coming away from not being able to make it into the TI3 qualifiers, or getting dropped out of the TI3 qualifiers. Zenith already qualified, or got invited. So let's go ahead and see how these two teams actually go and match up. And we're going to switch the screen because I'm smart. To the right one, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and go right on into the draft that's already underway. I see Zenith has chosen to ban out the Magnus and the Bat Rider first. Don't have to deal with any of that silly RP nonsense. And the Bat Rider, just a very difficult mid or jungler to stop. If he gets a fast blink dagger, he can gank very easily, and just kind of has free reign of the map. And as we can see, we have a Nyx Assassin ban out of First Departure, one of these stronger supports and mid heroes. They just really don't want to have to deal with. I mean, that's kind of the point of the first bans nowadays, is more just I don't want to deal with these heroes. There's enough quality bans out of the first pick that it's hard to really argue with any, except there is no Lifestealer ban. So if First Departure do want to go with the Lifestealer, it is at their disposal. You saw, I believe it was the most banned hero, or it was the most picked hero in the Western qualifiers, and I think it was the most banned hero. No, it was 5 seconds. Yeah, it was the most banned hero in the Eastern qualifiers. So a highly valued hero, mainly because of the range on the open wounds, and just the rage makes him so strong. And also the Lone Druid ban, just one of these standard carries they don't have to deal with. And First Departure is going to go ahead and go with the Wisp CK. So Wisp, the hero or at least I forgot to mention, still in the pool. One of these premier pickups, one of these premier heroes, can do so much for a support mainly. Such a high impact hero, and it does have that support position. And the CK is kind of the go-to hero to tie with him now. Tiny has fallen out of favor. I don't quite know why, because I still find he's the better hero to pair with Wisp. But teams are favoring the Chaos Knight when they go with the Wisp. So they're gonna go with the Chaos Knight. Zenith did first pick a Shadow Demon, so their options are still wide open. I assume that they will be picking up some harder to kill heroes and counter initiation heroes, and that's exactly what we find, at least with their first pick. Darkseer is a very hard hero to lock down, and even if you get the 5 seconds of stun on him, assuming he gets a reasonable amount of farm, either in the mid, offlane, or jungle role, he will be very hard to kill with that high amount of armor that he'll be getting from purchasing not only the mech, but also most likely the pipe, or some other sort of armor / utility item for the team. And a Kunkka. Already had the first pick Shadow Demon, so the Kunkka is going to be the pickup. I assume that it won't be for, Yamate's hero, or XY's hero. I keep forgetting who runs offlane for Zenith nowadays. I know Ice and Freedom are the two supports. Ice does run offlane when he wants to. Yamate does do whatever he wants most of the time. Easy lane farmer and XY. Last time I checked, he was offlane. Might be mid. But we'll see. We'll see how they form. But I do believe it'll be a mid Kunkka. What a lot of these Chinese teams have been doing is running a mid Kunkka, a Shadow Demon as a support in the top lane, so that when the supports rotate down to get a gank on the middle lane, they do have that nice combination with the Kunkka Shadow Demon. Also Kunkka with the I can't remember what it's called, the in Kunkka's Rum, it's a lot harder for the Wisp CK to do that extra burst damage that it wants to do right off the bat. The 50% damage ignore is highly underrated, and can really save a team. Like, really save a team. So we're going to see what First Departure picks here. I wouldn't be surprised to see either an offlane pickup or another support to pair with that Wisp. I also wouldn't be terribly surprised to see dual lanes being run with a Wisp, a Chaos Knight, Wisps or IO in mid lane, and then a carry with another support down in the bottom lane. But it is going to go ahead and be a Queen of Pain instead of an easy lane Chaos Knight with a Wisp in the easy lane. Wisp probably going to be doing most of the pulling. We'll be getting another support to mainly deal with that harassment, or to deal with harassing whoever it is out of lane. Queen of Pain will be the mid to go ahead and go up against that Kunkka. It's a strong pickup, but the thing is, unlike other melee heroes, Kunkka can still get damage onto the Queen of Pain with that Tidebringer damage. It is going to be a Visage ban out. Visage, the most picked hero in the Eastern qualifiers. Little fun facts. Little fun facts. He just works a little. He's just so strong, and I mean, the amount of burst damage that he supplies through that soul assumption is ridiculous. Combine that up with any amount of like the ion shell damage would just trigger charge after charge of that, and he would just be able to burst down Shadow Demon or whatever other support Zenith will be picking up very, very easily. First Departure does ban the Anti-Mage, realizing that's they're expecting that to be a mid Kunkka. So they're going to ban also the Gyrocopter, another one of the better easy lane farmers. Not one of my personal favorites, but it seems to be what everyone's picking nowadays. The Shock ban and a Chen ban also coming out of First Departure. Chen, if First Departure was planning on being really greedy, you could also run the Jungle Chen. Not to mention the Chaos Knight, Reality Rift, and Stun setup for the creeps from Chen. So that wouldn't be a bad pickup. So nice ban out by Zenith. Also the Tether and Reality Rift and Chaos Bolt Stun would all be nice setups for Leshrac Stun. And they also ban out the Juggernaut. Another hero that combos silly, unbelievably well with the Darkseer. You can put Ion Shell and Spin and do like 200 damage a second, which is stupid. And you can surge it, so it's a 200 CPS AoE thing hurled at you at warp speed. So it's really funny. But try it out in pubs. And there's the Lifesteal. I'm surprised he actually managed to get that far. And another quick pickup by First Departure with their off lane. Gonna go ahead and pick up the Clockwork for a little bit of counter engage. And since they're running a melee carry, he works similar to a Darkseer. If they're running a melee carry, where you can just harass him down with the cogs and make his room through there. It's not as effective as the Darkseer's Ion Shell because Clockwork has to be near his cogs to cast him, whereas Ion Shell travels with a creep. But that's fine. That's fine. Zenith will be looking for their last support now. Probably something that couples well with the Shadow Demon. Wouldn't be terribly surprised to see something like a Lina. Lina, a very strong pickup here. Adds the silly amount of burst that Zenith already have between the Tidebringer and... couples well with the Tidebringer and Boat. Actually have quite a bit of sustain, very little burst. But it would work well with the Soul Assumption, or Soul Catcher, sorry, from the Shadow Demon. Would be able to add quite a bit of the burst damage. And let me just make sure something's right. And it is going to be the Jakira, so more sustain, better lockdown, better team fight. Can't really complain too much, and it is going to be a Keeper of the Light coming out of First Departure. We'll be able to supply not only that Wisp with mana, but if Wisp is tethered to the Chaos Knight, we'll supply both Wisp and CK with the mana. Coddle also going to make sure that there's no aggressive tri-lanes coming out from the side of Zenith, no easy lane Darkseer and aggressive tri-lane. Because Keeper is the master of defensive tri-lanes. Just because of the fact that Illuminate does so much damage in such a large AoE. It's very hard. Very, very hard to contest with him. And let me just double check. Everything is running just fine. Don't want any problems for any of you out there, and looks like we are good to go. So let's go ahead and run through First Departure's lineup. We have the stand-in Stars being playing on that Wisp or IO. We have Lubby on the Keeper of the Light. We have QWE on that Clockwork looking to go offlane with the Stout Shield and then Mass Consumables. We've got Tryhard Nonstop on the Queen of Pain looking to go mid has quite a few stats and some regen, and the Chaos Knight already gearing up for the fact that he is most likely going to be against that Darkseer, so has a little bit of extra regen. On the side of Zenith, we have Ice 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 playing on his Darkseer. Going offlane, we have XY on the Kunkka, gonna go ahead and go mid. We've got Ice playing on the Chikiro. We've got Freedom on the Shadow Demon, and we've got Yamate, or NWP, on the Lifestealer. I believe after he switched to Zenith, he switched to the name NWP, that being his initials, if I'm correct. And he's just gonna go ahead and get a bunch of branches for some extra stats. Probably going to be going for a Midas, so you can get that fast, Gloves of Haste.
30 seconds to showtime.
You just see some basic wording already starting up. You'll notice a lot of people, in the pro scene at least, do their wording before the 0-minute mark. This is because they want to make sure they get them in a good position, so they don't have to worry about accidentally running into any of the enemy team who are getting into position around here, and just want to make sure they can set it down and get to their lane all on time. Nice and dandy. That way the offlaner also doesn't have to buy wards to check this bottom rune location. Which is just going to go ahead and be a regen, and ASD. We'll just go ahead and pick it up. Thought about killing it, but no real point. We do see a rotation come out from the Darkseer. Probably going to be starting. Looks like, yeah, he will be starting in the jungle. I like this decision quite a bit. Just going to be able to get up to level 3 before heading back into the lane. So his Iron Shell is formidable. He's not just kind of tickling creeps. Meanwhile, looks like probably going to be seeing a little bit of cogs blocking coming out from QWE. And let's see, yep, does manage to get one and forces the creep to go around. It's not the best job, but still, it's cog block. And it looks like Lifestealer is going to have just fine of a time up here. In the mid lane, we do actually just have Freedom versus and XY up against Tryhard Nonstop. This is kind of an interesting decision, not just running the straight up dual lanes. Just realize, I don't know how I feel about this, because I feel like with the tri-lane, with just the more traditional tri-lane, they will be able to put a ton of pressure onto this Clockwork, and it looks like that is what they're going to go ahead and switch up and do. XY already has his bottle. Bottle, understandable. Reasonably timed with the build that he decided to go for, and the fact that he has quite a few last hits. Meanwhile, down on the bottom, ASD does just have complete reign over this lane. And it looks like we're going to have a pretty slow start coming out of this game. Yamate and Freedom just putting a little bit of pressure on the tower here. Clockwork has managed to find himself level 2, which that is really the biggest struggle with Clockwork in the long lane, is trying to figure out where you get those levels. You see the Darkseer has the option of going into the jungle and farming very efficiently. 2 minutes already level 3. It's very nice. Whereas Clockwork, level 2, but not the worst. You can see a lot of Clockworks who will be starved to be like level 1 at like 5 minutes, and it's really depressing to see. But it's just the fact that it's such a strong hero, but it can't jungle. Can't jungle at all. So as this game develops, I see Zenith doing very, very strong during the mid game. Lifestealer is a great semi-carry, not the best carry in the entire world. Not the best at breaking high ground, or not great at breaking towers or high ground, or really being unstoppable in a team fight in the late game, because he doesn't get a lot of these agility items like you see an anti-mage or a void get. You don't typically see anyways. You don't typically see a Battle Fury or a Manta. These things that give you a ton of mobility and survivability and attack speed within the team fight. You instead see things like the Abyssal Blade to lock down or just do a lot of extra damage really quickly. or you see things like the AC, something that gives you more attack speed and more sustain, but it doesn't make you a terrifying thing on the battlefield. It just kind of is there. And yeah, it does a lot for your entire team, but it doesn't make you the scariest. It makes your team the scariest. Or it makes your team scary, not you the scariest. So we're going to go ahead and have a nice little pause. The GGs do come out. So, I'm going to go ahead and go right on back to farming. Can't complain at all. And this is what I was talking about in the middle lane with XY and try hard non-stop. The Shadow Strike will be there, and he has opted. I believe he will not be going for the double Shadow Strike build. Instead, he has opted, he's opted for the more traditional 1 point in Strike, 1 point in Blink, and then maxing Scream until he gets his ultimate. We do see a little bit of harassment coming out from XY, just being a little cheeky, realizing he is an Invis rune. He will be able to just go ahead. I think he was trying to pop the Invis before the Shadow Strike got off, but was unsuccessful in doing so. Rocket Flare does go off just to try and harass down the small camp, or this medium camp, quite a bit, so if they do pull it, it won't last as long. We do see smoke coming out from Ice and Freedom. Gonna go ahead and try and find a kill on this Queen of Pain. It will be difficult, but I do believe they can find it if done correctly. Torrent goes off. Queen of Pain is slowed. Mana is pretty much gone, and so this is their time if they want to go for it. But they go ahead and back off. Not to mention, IO is doing a little bit of creep pulling. And this was thought to have been kind of completely eliminated, but there are really tiny ways you can do it. Like we saw in the Eastern qualifiers, we saw an Earthshaker being able to fissure block and pull it down into here. In this case, what the Wisp does is the Wisp tethers, breaks a bunch of trees, and then can pull very, very easily. But does mess up that pull, so a little bit will get through.
Here's what's happening to Dire's bottom tower.
Meanwhile, we do see on the bottom lane, Lubby along with ASD is pushing this out a bit. Ice is coming back in right when he needs to. The Ion Shell is looking to take quite a bit of damage though. Vacuum back into the tower. Shadow Demon is there. Can't get in range for disruption. Doesn't have boots just yet. It is only 5 minutes in. And yeah, see, Clockwork has still managed to stay just at level 2, so unable to find that extra experience that I was talking about. And this is kind of one of the main difficulties about playing Clockwork in this long lane.
No use crying over
And totally missed first blood. Congratulations to me. Anyways, we do see a dive onto the T1 on bottom. Does manage to go ahead and kill off the Shadow Demon, or the Wisp manages to kill the Shadow Demon, but Yamate will get a return kill on the Chaos Knight after the Darkseer got a kill on the Wisp. I believe it was just Ion Shell damage into the tower. So I apologize for that. I believe that makes me like 9 for 10 for missing first bloods. Don't worry. I'm a professional caster just like Toby. Good to see, once again, a little bit of farming with the Torrent. It is not the most efficient thing to do in the world, but it is a thing to do. And we see an Illusion Rune go off, Soul Catcher, and Disruption, Vacuum into death with the Torrent. So, nice gank. So even though the Quack got the rune, they take advantage of that and say, alright, you know what, you wasted your blink trying to get the rune, we're going to go ahead and get a kill on you. And Chaos Knight does go ahead and rotate in the mid. Looks like he's going to be going for not the Phase Drums build, but the Power Treads into Drums build. Reality Rift in with all the Wisps going off. Illuminate not even needed. Chaos Knight with the last hit, the bonus damage from Reality Rift being just enough to finish him off. And so we see game state settling down just a little bit. Try non-stop. does opt to go for the Null Talisman for the little bit of extra damage. I don't have a huge opinion either way about this. I feel like it'll be something like an Orchid BKB build then, if you're not rushing anything straight up. And they go ahead and already do have a counter ward here, so they're just going to go ahead and disrupt, doing the ward raise. They do go ahead and trade Observer Ward for Sentry Ward, so better trade coming out from Freedom. So well played by him. Nice, it's the little engagements on the map that matter, and that was one of them. So it looks like the Kunkka and the Co-op are going for the exact same build. Kunkka probably going to be going ahead and building those into drums. Bracer flying out. Finished Bracer flying out to him right now. And Co-op is actually ahead quite a bit in this mid lane. Let's do some math, a whole 16 last hits ahead, which I'm not terribly surprised about, to be perfectly honest. Just Co-op against a melee hero is always going to favor the Co-op. Even someone as questionably broken as Magnus. But I mean, the Co-op is always just going to outfarm. Shadow Strike is too annoying to efficiently farm, and it is actually going to be a phase and armlet build coming out of the Life Stealer. I guess just getting those extra couple of branches at the start with the tangos just to adapt and see what lanes they actually threw at him. If he needed to buy an extra salve, or if he needed to buy a stout shield or something like that. But no, was able to just get faster boots then. Torrent into Smackaroo just for the little bit of harassment. It's kind of the story of this mid lane. Is just smack, smack, Shadow Strike, smack, smack, Shadow Strike, and then bottle up, rinse and repeat. Ice is looking to finish up his bank pretty soon, only about 800 gold off after getting Soul Ring boots. Does do a nice little maneuver. There is a bit of Fog of War. If you do go ahead and get right behind there, you can actually get out of line of sight. So if you're trying to dodge a stun or something like that, or just juke a bunch of people, if, for example, a bunch of people are running by here, you can go ahead and hide there, and there's just enough. There's enough of trees there that you are hidden. So if you ever needed to know that little juke spot, now you do. Let's go ahead and check last hits. We see that the Life Stealer is already working his way towards that armlet. He is actually only 50 gold off from it, or sorry, 24 gold off from it. So we'll be having that very shortly. Extremely nice farm coming out of him so far, considering that only 4 creeps spawn per wave. He's sitting at 64 last hits with 29 denies. That means he's denied pretty much every other creep and gotten every creep. I think that's how math works. 4, 8, 7. Sorry, he's missed about 8 creeps, with 4 on the way. Here. No, he's just missed about 8 creeps. Right, that's how it works. Missed 8 creeps, but TP'd to get a kill, and is just, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to just say that Yamate isn't doing a good job, because it's freaking Yamate. And Ice doing a very fine job. Most of these are small camp and medium camp kills, so it is a bit inflated. However, he is still farming very well, almost at a mech at under. He'll probably have that done at, I'm gonna say, 2.5 minutes from now, 3 minutes from now, so we'll call it 12.5, 13-minute mech. Very well timed, coming out of the dark, coming from the darks here. Looks like Kunkka is gonna go for drum and phase. Just the vroom vroom build. It's very strong. It's very hard to contest. And Clockwork has almost found his level 6, and he will start having much more of an impact as soon as he hits that.
Pretty sight right now.
One thing to take note of, though, is that these supports are farming very well from the side of First Departure. Io or Wisp almost has his mech up also, just a couple hundred away from that. And Lubby is sitting at just a bunch of wards. but does manage to have about 22 kills, 22 creep kills, whereas we see the Jakiro sitting on not terribly much, and the and the Shadow Demon Sequel sitting at equally as little. And it's just because these supports from First Departure are farming the jungle much more efficiently. And whereas the side from First Departure, they're mainly focusing on pulling, denying experience. And not to sneeze, so 1 second.
Guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower? Radiant's mid tower
Or not.
coming apart.
I guess I didn't have to sneeze. I was all prepared. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna mute my mic. This is gonna be fantastic. Didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. This is fantastic. Anyways, another pause coming out from the side. Looks like First Departure is having quite a few internet difficulties. This was during a time. This game did take place during a time when the C servers were having quite a bit of difficulty. So both these teams playing out of Singapore,
Carry on.
probably playing on the C server. So, anyways, Yamate does have his armlet finished up now, sitting at 80 last hits. So, very nice farm coming out of him. You compare that to the Chaos Knight, who's sitting at 65, does also have a death to his name, so not farming nearly as well. Has his drums finished up along with the power treads, but is just having a much harder time trying to get any sort of farm down in this lane. He is going to go ahead and get a 4-second stun out, but no additional follow-up.
Tower seen better days.
So he's going to go ahead and back off and go back to farming. But once again, this is not as efficient farming as you would like. The trade is that the Quap is doing very well up against this Conka in the mid lane. So well that Freedom has decided to come and rotate in the middle lane just to give that that Conka a little bit extra support. And Jakiro will be joining now also. One thing, actually, I was going to say one thing to note is the Quap does have a kill, whereas the Conka doesn't, but it turns out the Quap doesn't have a kill. I believe it must have gone to one of the supports then.
Thought you had that,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Sorry, I'm getting my words confused, but it doesn't matter too much. Game is proceeding along very passively now. Lubby coming up to give QWE just a bit of support via the Illuminate spam. But the thing is, Yamate is now level 10, whereas the Clockwork is sitting at level 6, almost level 7. So has enough of a level advantage that would be very hard for that Clock to do anything at all for the Lifestealer. So we'll just be sitting by, soaking up experience and getting a last hit wherever possible. And that's really his job right now, is to try and get up. He has decided to max the Rocket Flare, so it is going to be his goal to try and get a couple more points into that battery assault. So he will be able to single out a target and kill them. Right now, all he can do is single out. Smoke does go off in the middle lane. Going to be looking for a kill on the Quap, but does suspect that something is going on, as everyone did just go missing. They do drop a ward, and Quap does come out and reveal herself. Conka is going to go ahead and man mode it. There is a Wisp TP, and QWE is going to be there with the hook shot. Going to go ahead and isolate Ice right on out. Nice quick kill on the Jakiro. Bit of an overextension. Freedom going to be next. Get Shadow Strike up. Reality Rifted back. Disrupts himself. Going to go ahead and try and deny himself to the Ancients here. But it isn't going to be successful. Clockwork with a kill. And Quap is going to go ahead and disconnect. But it should be noted that the IO did bring the Quap back to where he TP'd in with the Chaos Knight. So we're gonna have another pause, because why not? Why not, indeed? And so that was just a huge overextension by Zenith, to put it bluntly. They just... I mean, I don't know how to put this into words properly, but you just don't normally kamikaze right down here. That is not something you do. You do not do that. And these teams are, I mean, First Departure is no slouch of a team, so the second they see someone running past their tier 1, they're just going to go ahead and TP support in. And not to mention, since it was so many of them, it was pretty much free pickoffs. And the supports behind a T1 at 14 minutes, that a mech or any proper items are just going to go ahead and melt not only to that tower, but also to any sort of right clicks. It was a nice decision by that Clockwork to go ahead and... Well, it wasn't an... I would say it was a necessary decision by that Clockwork to go ahead and throw that hookshot onto the Jakiro as soon as he TP'd in. Only because he wanted to make sure an Ice Path didn't get off, so... If an Ice Path got off, then a Dual Breath could have gotten off, and then it could have just created a whole... It could have created a whole mess of a situation. Whereas if you just hookshot right away, even though it was the short distance, it does give a 1 second stun duration. Made sure the Chaos Knight could get in, so he could go ahead and use all of his abilities. So the Jakiro really couldn't do anything, and the Shadow Demon just slowly followed and melted away afterwards. We do have a reconnect coming back in from the Quap, who was disconnected out. And so we wait. And there we go. First Departure says they're good to go. So, the game will go ahead and resume. So after that little bit of a disaster, Zenith's going to go ahead and try and stabilize. While First Departure is going to go ahead and push right on down this middle lane. I believe that is what they're going to do, and the second I say that, they do something
Radiant's
else.
gone and fortified their structure.
Kuka does get himself a double damager, so he will feel okay with that, but there is 4 people mid, and they don't have all their support here, so this could be a big problem.
Structure's looking fortified.
A little bit Torrent, just try and dissuade them from attacking the tower. But it looks like First Departure is going to make the correct decision and not go ahead and go after that tower. Realize they might end up in a similar situation to what Zenith were just in. A little bit of the Rambo going on. But they do Zenith does have 5 heroes here, expecting that push. They're going to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that they're all grouped up and go ahead and push. They realize they have the better 5-man right now. Commentator sitting on 2,700 gold in addition to his armlet, but that isn't going to save him if he gets bursted down. Does get the rage off, so he is going to live through. Both the Quap, the IO, and the Chaos Knight all kind of just melt. Meanwhile, Lovey being harassed down by that Darkseer, going to go ahead and fall, but that Clockwork's going to get going to be trapped in his own cogs, even though he put them there, and just is food for the Kunkka. Kunkka getting away on just about 50 HP. Will he be able to get away for good? I don't think so. The Quap will just go ahead and blink forward and scream and get the kill. But that did cost them a buyback. Did cost a buyback on that Queen of Pain and the IO. IO buying back with the Queen of Pain, being able to TP him in right there. Being able to get a couple of little pick-off kills, so it's not as bad as it could have been. Yeah, they did have to use a buyback, but they still got some return out of it, so it wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened. It was just bad. And Zenith, after just that silly little incident, just proved that they still have the better mid-game. And take a very, I would say, much needed fight, but a fight that First Departure couldn't really take to lose. Or the First Departure really, they should have lost it, so that makes sense. But
Radiant's bottom tower.
First Departure didn't want to lose it. I know that sounds redundant, but I'm trying to put this into words, and it's becoming very difficult. But it's this feeling that Zenith can win these mid-game fights, so they're gonna take them. Whereas First Departure just should have avoided the fight altogether instead of going ahead and engaging on it. They should have known that they were gonna lose it, and I mean, Zenith needs to win this game by winning these mid-game engagements and keeping First Departure behind. So that's exactly what they needed. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. And Ice actually goes ahead and buys up a Vanguard. That's an interesting decision. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I mean, it's going to help them split push quite a bit. It's going to give them that extra sustain in team fights. Most of the time, I say to people, "Oh, just buy mech instead," because the the armor that comes out of Mechanism. The 7 armor is the same effective armor as Vanguard in all circumstances. Oh, they are going to go ahead and catch out the Quapir Torrent. Does come on through as well time, and ASD is just going to go ahead and get bursted down here. We'll get X marks and then just kind of fall over, but Stars does go ahead and tether to him, so he's going to reveal himself, and Yamate is going to go ahead and pick up the kill, making him 3 kills and 123 CS at the 18-minute mark, sitting on Armlet, Phase, and Sanjin Yasha. This is a very farmed lifestealer, and going Sanjin Yasha makes me very happy. It just does. It's such a nice hybrid of stats for these mid-game carries, or these mid-game juggernauts, I should say. Like I love it on Lifestealer just because it gives them that extra little bit of chase, especially if you're not going drums. And I love it on Shadow Fiend just because the mix of stats is so needed. I like it much more than just going straight straight Manta. I just feel like it gives you more. We see Jakiro has managed to find enough farm to go ahead and get his Arcanes, and same with the Shadow Demon. So wow, that's actually a huge stack that you're going to get a ton of experience off of between the Shadow Poison, the Liquid Fire, Dual Breath, all that jazz. And Kunkka is going to go ahead and manage to get his Shadow Blade now. Not sure if he's going to go ahead and try and finish up those drums, or he's just going to keep it at a Bracer. But he is looking quite farmed now. Whereas we see the Queen of Pain has fallen behind a tad. Had to use that buyback money, so only has the Ogre Cook. Doesn't have anything
top tower's hurting.
much more towards that BKB, unless they're... Oh no, she does... Okay, that makes sense. She does have the Metro Hammer on the Courier, but still, it's not the finished BKB. Rocket does go ahead and scout out the fact that XY was thinking about doing Roach. Probably will just smack him once. Or actually, no, he's gonna go ahead and go for it. Just waiting for Yamate to go ahead and show up. Wonder, is there gonna be a reaction out of First Departure? No, it doesn't look like there's any sort of reaction. And I guess they're just gonna go ahead and give away this Roche. Unless, no. They actually can't kill it fast enough, unless they break the thing one more time, so he can go ahead and use that open wounds. But Yamate looking a little bit, feeling like he's just a little bit too low, avoiding the rocket this time, which was a nice little maneuver. He should just go ahead and invest a creep and get to full HP. Kunkka does take the Aegis, realizing XY is probably the one who's dying the most at the moment, and they do need XY alive during these fights. Between the boat and the constant Tidebringer, it's very hard to contest him, and just the AoE damage that he brings to the table is crazy. If we look at Zenith in general, they have a ton of AoE damage. The only hero that isn't providing a reliable amount of AoE damage is that Lifestealer, who still does have that Infest that he could use if he so desired the AoE. Ice does fake out the vacuum, making Quap blink a little bit earlier than I think she'd wanted to, but we'll TP out just fine. Blink and TP far into the trees, so it'd have to be a very, very nice guess of a vacuum. If you wanted to interrupt that. And Lifestealer is going to go ahead and pick up a Basher as his next item. Not sure if he'll work into an Abyssal Blade directly, or he will go for some sort of intermediate item, like an Assault Cuirass, like a Mjolnir, or something else along those lines. But I wouldn't be surprised just to see this into either straight Abyssal or straight AC. But regardless, Yamate is disgustingly fat on this Lifestealer, just sitting on so many last hits, averaging about. I mean, we're not seeing anti-mage farm here, but we're seeing Lifestealer farm, and 160 at 22 minutes with 3 kills and no deaths on the Lifestealer is very, very strong. We compare this to Chaos Knight. I just haven't felt the impact of the Chaos Knight this game. He's 1, 2, and 4. Does have 130 last hits and has a BKB, but he's just not doing what Lifestealer's doing. Clockwork is going to go ahead and and cogs himself in. So Not gonna worry about the boat
Radiant's
all that
toughened up
much.
their structures.
And they might just back off here, realizing that all the support and the entire side of First Departure is here, and don't want to go ahead and overextend. But Hookshot is going to go off on Ice, who was very greedily TPing into the middle of the team, but QWE will go ahead and fall. Might have been a little bit of bait, might have been just a little bit of Ice taunting, but they do turn it around with the vacuum into the ice path, so very well played. NWP does go ahead and start back out onto that Wisp, and should have, yep, he will go ahead and kill him with that Infest, and Chaos Knight should just get out. Oh, the ice path just about a milli-inch off what couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 pixels. Sad day, sad day. But the Chaos Knight will get away while the Wisp falls. And no losses from the side of Zenith, so very well played. Very well played indeed. Even the Darkseer, sorry, excuse me, who looked like he was being caught out pretty badly because of doing a very greedy TP, does get away fine, so I mean, just the side of Zenith, they're not terribly concerned, but we do have BKBs up on the side of First Departure. We've got a BKB up on the Queen of Pain, up and running. Same with the Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight does have his still at 10 charges. Queen of Pains is sitting at 9. 4 stuff up on the Keeper of the Light. IO sitting at his mech, and that's it. Another 1k gold. Probably going to be getting Arcanes and something else very shortly.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Meanwhile, inside of Zenith, we do have a gem picked up by the Shadow Demon. I love these early game, like pre-30-minute gems that come out like from the winning teams. I feel like it's just like Artos' old saying, if you were ever a StarCraft fan, if you're ahead, just get more ahead. Advocating just bigger macro, not these all-out crazy pushes or these insane strats. Is just do stable things. As soon as you found your lead, don't keep pushing your advantage, just find ways to keep more ahead. And the gem is a great way to do that. If you can just completely destroy their map vision, or their, yeah, I meant to say map control, but then decided to put vision into it. But anyways, destroy their map control by removing all their vision. They're gonna feel First Departure is going to feel really, really unsafe, and will probably be sitting in their base a little bit more, and QWE, as I'm jabbering on about nonsense, is just going to go ahead and take a fall. Just standing a little bit too far forward. Guess not knowing exactly where Zenith was. Haha, see what I did there? Ooh, back to vision. But regardless, Lifestealer does go ahead and get the last hit, sitting on 3.2k gold now. Just gonna wait on his next item. Lubby is gonna go ahead and get vacuum back in. X mark the spot. Ice Path goes off and will go ahead and fall to the Tidebringer. And this should be the T3 on bottom. I don't know if First Departure can really muster up that much of a defense. It looks like Queen of Pain on the top is going for a trade, but you can't trade fast enough. I mean, there's just no reaction coming out from First Departure. They are gonna take the T2 mid, but I mean, they just lost Rax. And that was one of the most underwhelming Raxes I've had the pleasure of casting in this tournament. They just didn't do anything. I think they just realized, you know what, this can't be done. Freedom is going to go ahead and disrupt himself. Boat does go in, misses on everyone. Vacuum wall, very, very solid, and looks like the side of First Departure is just melting to all the damage coming out from Zenith. Still haven't lost one, not even the Shadow Demon that was initiated upon. Actually, he might fall. Yeah, he will go ahead and die at the end of the day. That Rum not being able to save him completely, but prolongs his death quite a bit. Yamate now sitting on 5k gold, and he might take a little bit of damage from this Chaos Knight, but not too much. Torrent X, but no follow-up. And no detection. And the Ice Path to cover his trail. So he's totally fine. Gem was re-picked up by the Chihiro. And 4 staff is now completed on his part. So he'll be feeling nice and safe. Nice and safe. There. the Conca did decide to go ahead and pick up a BKB instead of doing what a lot of these Western teams do, which is go for something like a Daedalus right away, or some crazy damage like with a Battle Fury or something like that. These Eastern teams like to do something much more safe, to say, you know what, we're ahead. And actually, meanwhile, we do see a kill go off on that Chaos Knight. He did have a haste. And the Clockwork did go ahead and get a little bit of flare action going on there. And it is going to go ahead and be the full Abyssal Blade coming out from Yamate. And looks like Lubby is dead. And 3-hit. And there's the gem. And they're going to go ahead, and he's also going to kill Clockwork. Just silly. That was... yeah. Yamate, you're no bad. Stop. But anyways, I think that was pretty poorly played by QWE. You should have known that the lifestealer was still there. Couldn't have strayed far. Just got greedy and wanted to recover the gem. But at the end of the day, it just ends up wasting away his life.
Radiant's top tower's hurting.
Meanwhile, Conca is just going to go ahead and split push Freedom there for support if need be. Lubby just doing a little bit of harassment. Gets quite a bit of farm. And Yamate is just going to go ahead and take the tower, infest into a creep, and be totally fine. And meanwhile, Shadow Demon does get a kill on the IO, who did TP into the back. I don't know what he was doing there, but he was there, and so he's dead. Well, actually, some other Shakira died over there. So somebody should have a gem, maybe? Unless he gave the gem... no, he gave the gem back to the Shadow Demon. So he's totally... this is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. And Lifestealer is going to go ahead and go for a heart next. Does already have the Reaver up, so he's only 1.2k gold off if he wants to go ahead and buy out for that. But he isn't looking like he's going to die anytime soon. Also could easily just get the next Roshan, which will be up in about 30 or so seconds. So they'll probably go ahead and take the T2 here, back off to Roche, and be just fine and dandy to go ahead and breach high ground once again and take that second lane of Rax, and most likely proceed to win the game. So yeah, not saying it's over. Not saying it's over by any extent of the imagination. Just first departure, looking in dire straits. If we go ahead and take a look at the EXP, it's about a 14k EXP deficit going the way of Zenith, and about a 10k gold advantage also going the way of Zenith. But the thing is, the Chaos Knight does have his farm. Well, he has some farm. Not sure this is going to be for an S and Y. That would be an interesting decision at this point in the game. But they are going to go ahead and go for the 5-man smoke gank. This is what I was going to say. This is one of the last things that they have that they can do, which is if they can somehow take a fight at Roche, deny this Aegis, they will be in a much, much better position. But the problem is they're fighting into a Darkseer, they're fighting into the Jakiro, and they're fighting into a Conca, but they're going to go ahead and go anyways. BKB is popped, ASD does do quite a bit of damage, Boat goes right on through, does a ton of damage, Clockwork already dead, and NWP just tearing through all the illusions, tearing through everything, and at the end of the day, I mean, just the Chaos Knight couldn't do enough. Clockwork fell over right as the fight started, and yeah, XY is going to go ahead and pick up another kill right on to that Keeper of the Light. NWP does go ahead and get his Aegis if he wants it. Actually, they're going to give Freedom the Aegis. Make sure that that gem always stays with them. I think maybe XY was going back for it, like, hey guys, I still exist. Did you see that boat? It was really good. But no one dies on the side of Zenith, and everyone except for the Co-op dies on this side of first departure.
Radiant's mid tower's getting banged up.
They're not going to reach high ground yet. Don't feel confident enough. Don't feel like they're farmed, or they're not that they're not farmed up enough. That they're just not healed up enough. Yamate does have that. Does have that heart. so be feeling just fine. And Kunkka will be going for that Daedalus. It's a much safer Daedalus though, having already gotten the defensive item. But cogs do go off and dissuade Lifestealer from engaging. Does take all the wisp damage, but I mean it's hardly noticeable. Just gonna go ahead and turn off that armlet, wait for his heart to refresh, and he'll be back up to full health in literally no time whatsoever. Feels greedy. He might go on to ASD. Does get the bash off. Proceeds with the Abyssal Blade. Gets knocked back by the cogs. Backing back into the wall. QWE gonna go ahead and fall after. Not afterwards. But Chaos Knight still alive somewhere. With Io gonna TP right on back in. Probably no, just with himself, not with the Chaos Knight. That actually looks really cool. But it looks like the Wisp is going to go ahead and fall to the Jakiro. I believe popped a Ghost Scepter, but then just died to the Liquid Fire. And T3 does go down. Illuminate plus the Scream going off. Ton of burst damage, but just not enough. Ton of damage coming out from the side of Yamate.
There goes the Radiant's mid-rags. Radiant's mid-rags.
No! I know I'm a pain, but you love me anyway. It was
Radiant's top tower is taking hits.
You set sail.
Radiant's mid tower's getting banged up.
Sorry about that, roommate. But as you can see, that probably didn't need much narration. It looked like Zenith just blew everything up. Veil of Discard coming out on the Jakiro, just this little score screen item.
The Radiant's top rag.
Can't complain, can't complain.
The Radiant's top rag.
Looks like Lifestealer's Hyperstone for an AC, or for an AC just came in. We'll probably be walking over and picking that up. Meanwhile, and yeah, we'll be doing that. Shadow Demon does pick up a Blink Dagger, and the Daedalus is finished on the Kunkka. So just a lot of things, just many a thing has just erupted out of the side of Zenith. I mean, Megas and First Departure, they should just call it GG, but you know what? No problem with a little bit of fountain diving. No problem whatsoever. And my god, just picks up a Talisman of Evasion just to be even tankier. And I forgot to mention the Shivas, but Shivas did come out, and the GGs do come out as the throne goes down. So yeah, GG from Zenith, or GG well played by Zenith. Just showed perfect form. Yamate showing why he's just one of these premier players, and just absolutely stomped First Departure. Anyways, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me. This has been a broadcast coming out from Ditone Dota. You can check me out at youtube.com/DitoneDota or at twitter.com/Ditone. If you want more of my casts, just go to those YouTube channels, but no, just make sure to go to youtube.com/Rapture Gaming. They do the official casts, as this is their official tournament, and they do a great job over there. I just want to do my own little take on them, and thank you once again to Rapture Gaming for letting me cast your replays. But anyways, that is the end of this cast. I hope to see you again shortly. Remember, you can check out all these on my YouTube channel or on my live stream at twitch.tv/XESDitone. Anyways, thanks again, and hope to see you soon.